we join our weary adventurers. Avarice is addressing Velina in an angry tone, and does not want to work with her and tries to convince the adventurers to leave Harple and work for her. Gaius convinced her to aid in information delivery and to use Harple for the dangerous parts. As the party observes Ythryn and plans an exploration route, they find a tower with a magical rune to capture devils. Gaius tried to dispel it but manages to interrupt and not stop the magic. Discovering creatures that once were the inhabitants but transformed by magical blight that affects magic users. Scant informed that if don't leave soon they will turn into those monsters called Nothics. While exploring a museum, according to Scant, the adventurers find a magical recharge station and while using it are attacked by mimics to his doors and won a wall. Gaius is almost killed as a door grappled him and spits acid upon him, trying to devour in one gulp. Achroma is assaulted by a wall but with magical shields avoid getting grabbed but take acid damage. Ori gets grabbed and damaged from acid. Kumorhuk assaults the door freeing Gaius. Velina frees Ori with freeze hand upon the tendrils. Achroma backs away and casts spiritual guardians and Eldritch blasts the wall. Kumorhuk destroyed the door mimic. Ori and Creed destroyed their mimic with great effort. Continuing to explore, the adventurers discovered another tower with light and cautiously climbing the stairwell towards the top. Discovering four large spectral floating hands protecting a small obelisk. The hands were inert till someone moved close to the obelisk, disturbing them, and they began to assault the adventurers. Kumorhuk, Creed, and Ori are immediately beset by three as one stays back with the obelisk. Gaius takes the opportunity to rush towards and grab the obelisk, immediately disappearing after touching. Achroma begins firing eldritch blasts, keeping the hands at bay. Kumorhuk explodes in ferocity, dispatching one spectral hand. Ori is grappled but manages to free herself and turning one hand into a pincushion. Creed dodges effortlessly as he uses a psychic blade to destroy a third hand. The last hand was cleared out by the combined efforts of the adventurers. Gaius popped into a cauldron after touching the obelisk, with three hags: anti-pinch, anti-pillage, and anti-plunder. Planning to eat him, he had to think of something, and quickly pouring on the charm he managed to convince them not to eat him and to divulge that to access the center of Ythryn you must complete a trial, and gave Gaius the last 2 of 8 steps. With that he reappears after the hands are destroyed. After a short rest in the tower, the adventurers move onwards to a grove to further explore Ythryn and perhaps find some magically imbued stick to craft wands. Upon entering the grove, some sentient nether oaks began to stir, and with Kumorhuk's silver tongue manages to distract the trees as Creed stealthily grabs some sticks, agreeing not to kill the adventurers as long as they leave the trees go back to sleep. As they are making their way back to the tower with the obelisk, Scant informed them of a library and its contents could help with the layout of Ythryn. Reaching the door, a large penguin, Kingsport, bars the way, asking what they want, which causes Creed on instinct to draw his rapier and points it at the beast. Achroma throws a fish. Afterwards, an Arcanaltha speaks up and says the library is his and if they aren't willing to sign contracts to help him find a specific book. None of the adventurers sign the contracts. With Avarice up on a high perch observing everything, she explains a massive wall of force around the Mythalora has erected, preventing both physical and magical means of passage. Afterwards, it's shared that 8 parts are needed to pass the trials and currently have 4 parts. Upon sharing this information, the ground shakes. The goddess Oral has arrived.